Well, the Starfield review copies are in the wild, and there is a surprising amount of leaks, people risking their relationship with the company, or really any company that gives you early access to a game to review it, with people just brazenly breaking NDA in their Discords, with tweets, with images. We've heard, actually, I think a lot of encouraging things. We've seen people claim they have access who don't have access, and they've said some things about the game running poorly. And then we got to see the start screen, like the screen that is there right when you boot up the game. And I'm not going to put it in this video. I don't know, what's Bethesda's thoughts on that. Are they going to try to strike videos or anything that covers it? But it has been viewable to the public. It's all over Twitter. And I tweeted out the image and said, I kind of dig it. I like the minimalism. I like their sort of stripped down approach. And if you look at other games like Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us, or even Fallout 4, it's very reminiscent of a style of menu sort of starting screen like that. And I don't really understand how we got here, but we're here. Somebody took to Twitter, and we're going to look at an article here that kind of covers some of the back and forth from Eurogamer. But before we look at that, let me give you a brief summary about what happened. So basically, somebody on Twitter who I kind of got thrown into the mix with a while ago because we had similar thoughts about the Activision deal. Well, in this particular case, I do not agree with him at all, and had some pretty critical remarks to make about the starting screen. This person is known as Grums. And this sort of caught fire. His tweet went crazy because obviously you're being critical. So you're getting it from both sides. You're getting the people that are sort of wanting to see Starfield fail, and then you're getting the people that are really excited about Starfield sort of defending it. So I tweeted out the image and was like, I think this looks good. I dig it. I like it. I asked for other people's thoughts on it. And the funniest remark I got was some guy was like, it looks great for the 3 seconds I'm going to see it, which is generally true. You're not going to be hanging out on a starting screen. I don't know if I've ever bought a game and just sat and looked at the starting screen for very long, especially games like, Elden Ring, that there's nothing. It's just music, the logo, and then some options. And the Starfield one actually kind of looks inviting. It's here's space, it kind of makes me think of Star Trek, space, the final frontier. That's what I've been continuing to say about Starfield. I'm really looking forward to sort of having a ship and a crew and trying to live out that sort of RPG experience in the game. And so there has been an ongoing fight about it, so much to the degree that Pete Hines himself chimed in on the subject. So that's why I wanted to make this video. I was like, I'm not going to make a video about the starting screen in Starfield. That seems ridiculous. But here we are, because I actually think this is worth covering, given that it turned into a bit of a discussion about design and what that communicates. And there was just a lot of presumption, I think, really projected on the team at Bethesda. I have no reason to doubt their love and care and passion for Starfield, from the Q&As that they've done to the way they put the videos together, to just anytime you hear them talking about the game, whether it's Todd Howard or anybody. Now, Pete Hines especially, I think, seemed particularly annoyed in the emails we saw during the FTC hearing. He was not happy about this game going to being exclusive. I think they were really hopeful for, that broad audience, and they were, according to his words, they were told that this game was going to be exclusive. So that, to me, communicates passion, care, love. They want this game to be amazing. They want this game to be huge and just massively successful. And generally, I hope that it is, for Bethesda's sake. I recently did a video about this and just said, for Bethesda's sake, I hope it's great. For Xbox as a brand, they kind of need a win right now. And for gamers in general, I think it's good when good games land. I, with Baldur's Gate 3, have been sort of disappointed in the way the gaming community has weaponized a good game instead of just celebrating a good game. And Starfield is no stranger to being weaponized to attack people, criticize people, use it for console warring. And here we are talking about a starting screen. So Eurogamer has an article here, says Bethesda's head of publishing hits back at Starfield's start screen criticism. Quote, questioning out a developer's care is highly unprofessional coming from another dev. And he puts dev in quotations. So what exactly happened here? Well, Bethesda's head of publishing, Pete Hines, hit back at criticism that labeled Starfield start screen as being designed as a, quote, passionate team overworked, or a team that didn't care. Now, this is from former Blizzard developer Mark Kern. Okay, this is Grums on Twitter. And he said, the physiognomy of start screens. Now, this word right here is you wouldn't know that's how you pronounce it. I looked that up. I did not know how to pronounce this word, okay? The physiognomy. This just means the appearance, okay? It's a fancy word for appearance. The appearance of start screens, okay? The start screen of a game can reveal, can reveal a lot about how rushed the team was or and how much pride they took in their work. And he comes down and says more. Starfield start screen either shows hasty shipping deadlines by a passionate team overworked or a team that didn't care. This, to me, I just think it was a remarkable conclusion given how quickly people started saying, look at The Last of Us, look at Ghost of Tsushima, look at Fallout 4, just a wide variety of games that have very similar, just minimalistic start screens. You have like a window with a breeze coming through it for The Last of Us, and then there's just a button you can press, right? And then God of War, I would say God of War 2018 had one of the more creative ones. It's literally Kratos sitting there with an axe, and when you hit a button, he hits the tree. But I don't expect that from every game. Like, oh, they all need to be interactive, and I need to be able to see the main character. I mean, Ghost of Tsushima is sort of a field of the tall grass with the sword in it, and that's it. And again, pretty cool, pretty creative, sets the stage, sets the artistic tone. Well, Starfield is literally outer space, so that's what the starting screen is. And again, I liked the minimalism. I was always a fan of minimalism. There was a time where I got into like t-shirt design, and I was always a big fan of minimalistic, stripped down things. You'll notice even in my logo design, I just like things to be very simplistic and stripped down. I don't like things that are too complex. So let's keep reading here. And start screen are often at the very end of development. Teams are too busy making the core game. It's quite common for the start screen to be completely changing once the game ships or on patch 0. Teams that take pride want to put a good face forward and will often redo these just prior to the game going live. So that's a fairly lengthy argument. Again, he's presuming a lot about Bethesda and when they made the start screen. Like, I think he's envisioning it was slapped together and they didn't revisit it. They didn't touch it up or anything like that. So then this gentleman here, he does an @ to Pete Hines, and he says, hey, the next time you and the lovely folks at BGS, instead of rushing to make a game with many systems, factions, choices, and ways to play, I urge you to only focus on the title screen, so you guys won't appear to be hasty or simply didn't care. So you can appreciate the tone of this tweet. He's like, hey, instead of rushing to make the game and the systems and, all the stuff that we're going to be playing. Remember, my favorite reply on Twitter was a guy that was like, I'm going to like it for the 3 seconds that I look at it. This guy's, I think, got the right tone here, that instead of working on the game, man, make sure and work on the start screen. You don't want to appear like you don't care. So Pete Hines sets the record straight here. He says, or they designed what they wanted, and that's been our menu for years and was one of the first things we settled on. So he's dispelling the notion that this was like slapped together last minute or that this has just been uncared for. This is something they settled on very early. He says, having an opinion is one thing. And I'm gonna touch on this. I'm gonna touch on this in a second. Questioning out a developer's care because you would have done it different is highly unprofessional coming from another dev. I think this is such an important distinction. I've tried to stress this to people recently. There's a difference between claiming something and having an opinion about something. You could say, I don't like the Starfield start screen. That is an opinion. Claiming that start screen represents a team that is either overworked or doesn't care, that's different than an opinion. I have plenty of people who do this to me. Instead of just saying, I don't like his content, they claim that all of my Starfield content has been negative. This is simply untrue. I've done close to 50 live streams about it. I've spent a large portion of the time defending Starfield against many people. I've even defended Bethesda against many people who I think take a very negative bent against the game. But you wouldn't believe that if you look on Twitter. It's just full of people claiming I am a Starfield hater, okay? You can't substantiate that with clips. I always say, okay, where are the clips and streams where I've hated on Starfield and bashed on Starfield? Where? So you're welcome to have an opinion. You can say, I don't like the Starfield start screen. You can have that opinion. But to go beyond opinion and to claim, this means that the team that put it together they're overworked, right? They just kind of settled. They're lazy. Okay, so let's continue reading here in the article. Now they just kind of quote Hines here, but I want to go to here. At the time of writing, Kern has yet to acknowledge Hines' response, but has replied to several commenters who took umbrage with his statement. Now, something I got to talk about this too. Something to consider here, and I don't like this. I don't like this about Twitter. It's why on my Reforge Gaming account, I have not done Twitter Blue, because I don't want to have that temptation to farm impressions for money. At the time right now of me recording this, sort of, mid-afternoon on Sunday, he had over 1 million views on his tweet about the start screen. Now, I had a tweet about the start screen where I said I dug it. I said, I think it looks pretty good. So obviously I don't get near the traction. If I would have tweeted that start screen and been nasty and negative and critical and, I would have hated on it, I probably would have gotten way more clicks and way more impressions. But I was like, I dig it. I think it looks good. And I even took it into Photoshop to remove the mouse cursor just to make it look a little bit cleaner, because I wanted just the start screen, because not everybody's going to have their mouse cursor, dead center. And so for me, this is a growing concern about Twitter and how video games are talked about, because I have no idea if Kern really believed what he said. I simply don't. I don't know did he actually think that, that looks bad, they must not care about their game, and his saying this, his being critical, got him 1 million impressions. Likely it won't stop there. It will end up getting more impressions, and that is money. That's actual money in the pocket of a lot of the people that tweet in these ways. I mean, there's a tweet of me out of context talking about not getting a key from Starfield, and I think it had like hundreds of thousands of views, and that's somebody merely farming Twitter blue money by being hateful and nasty and misrepresenting me and lying about me. And in this case, you have somebody get way more views, 1 million, basically concluding, bashing, and projecting and presuming on the team at Bethesda based purely on their starting screen. So I really am concerned about the growing propensity in the narrative to go not just negative, but to do bad faith negative. It's one thing to be critical, and criticism gets more clicks on YouTube, but then you kind of have to substantiate that criticism or your video's not going to do very well. Like, I've done videos where I'll go critical and I'll say, hey, this wasn't very good. Like when the PlayStation Showcase wasn't very good, I went critical, but I didn't just go critical for clicks. It's what I felt, it's what I thought, and then I substantiated that in the video. The video will perform poorly if I don't substantiate why I'm being critical. There are people who just farm hate and every game is garbage, every game is trash. I don't think channels like that last very long because the content's not very substantive. It's sort of flash in the pan. You'll get people's attention for a little while, but it generally doesn't last because you're not substantiating your criticism or your claims. Well, the problem with Twitter is because it's such short form, a tweet like that can absolutely explode, not because it is substantive and valuable. Like if a video does really well and somebody's put a ton of work into it and they're critical. I'll give you an example. Right before I got into content creation, one of the people who motivated me, inspired me to do content creation in YouTube was Angry Joe. His review of Destiny was so on the nose, so on the mark. He said so many of the things that myself and my friends had been saying about the game. The substance and the care that went into that video, it still to this day is one of his most watched videos on his channel. And that video did well because of that. It didn't spin up and do well because everybody was angry at it and disagreeing with it. That's how these Twitter takes work. So this guy's tweet, in my mind, very bad faith, presumptive tweet, goes crazy because it lacks substance, because it's argued poorly, or because people are angry at it and are disagreeing with it. And I don't know what the antidote here is, because thoughtful, long-form, nuanced conversations, what I try to do in my live streams is just have like a long discussion about a given topic. Anybody can come in and disagree with me as long as they're not being insulting or trolling. That's something I try to foster on YouTube, but you can't really do that on Twitter. As soon as you see a tweet where you have to click see more, you're probably not going to care. You're not going to take the time to do it. Even the clip circulating about me, people are like, this guy honestly expected a code from Starfield. I'm not kidding you. The first words out of my mouth in the clip are, I didn't expect to get a code. People aren't even watching the clip. They're not. They're reading the summary of the clip, and they're presuming, oh, he's mad he didn't get a code. The first words out of my mouth in the clip are, I didn't expect to get a code. But that's the world we live in now, where the start screen of Starfield gets so criticized, so hot, generates so many impressions that Pete Hines himself had to weigh in. I would love to know what you guys think. I'm going to roll this video over into a members-only debrief. I do a live show in the morning and then uploads, and then I end my days with members. So you can watch the rest of my content totally free, but if you want to become a member to get into that extra debriefs and those Friday nights with my wife, hit join. If you're not going to join as a member, make sure you're here as often as you can. You might get a gifted member, so hit subscribe, hit the bell button, and I'll see you in the next video.